Well, welcome back to the show. My name is Zack, yada, yada, yada. You know what we're talking about here. So I put a post up on YouTube. It says 1 day ago as I look at my phone here reading it. It says on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the most inclusive, thus 1 is the least inclusive. How inclusive is the HVAC trade? This is in regard to race, gender, and religion. I didn't put how many genders because I just wanted to put the word gender just so people could infer what they wanted to. So it had 115 votes at the time when I've looked at the post here. This is right after 9 o'clock. It's Monday. That's enough information. So 115 votes. 29% thought that it was not very inclusive at all at 1. 20% were at 2. 27% at 3, and 24% at 4, which I thought this was, to me, this blows my mind. I guess it goes to where you're at, what your experience is, and just what perspective you're looking at this particular question. And I'll read the comments here, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So, first comment is from Sam. It says, "Careful, Zach. It is a sensitive subject. But I kind of like getting people's thoughts on these subjects. Just to hear what, I don't know, I just like to hear what people have to think about these things because so many things don't matter. You know, people are out there picking the paint color for the bathroom, whatever. But I'm kind of curious about this, so it's kind of interesting to see what people say. Because it seems to me you have a few different people. You have preachers. There's the people that come on there and tell you what you should be thinking. There's people that are like ideological, that just go to one end of a political answer, because politics, they seem to put some of these things in different areas. And if you want to be in their area, then you have to believe this particular thing. And I think that's probably about as stupid as it gets, but I just get a kick out of it. Maybe I'm a sick guy. Maybe I'm a sadistic guy, but I get a kick out of it. So next comment is, I'm sure all of them are good variables, but another that could also be mentioned is gatekeeping. I don't know, maybe, am I the gatekeeper? I'm not quite sure what this means. Is Jesus the gatekeeper? I'm not quite sure where we're going with that. The next one is, it just depends on who you work with. But yeah, I mean, this trade is full of egos, so somebody is bound to think their way of thinking or doing something is superior to someone else, but people will be people. I think it's about right. People will be people. He's just described every section of society going from occupation to occupation. You're going to have pretty much the same group personality types for the most part, what I've found. I'm sure there's some variations, but when you go into a large occupation, you're going to get all comers. Next one is, what does it honestly matter? Getting PC within a trade is just plain dumb. Well, if it's plain dumb to be PC within the trade, then it does matter, right? So it would matter. I'm just saying. Next question is, y'all too cowardly to discuss this with some truth. Why pretend you want that conversation when you know you're going to be PC about it? It's funny to be PC about it. I find that when you are going to try to tiptoe around something, it really does it no service. I don't think it does it any service at all, but when the conversation pops up, especially on the spot, your natural inclination is to not be confrontational and to get through the situation without having to go into some kind of tirade, or maybe your wife's looking at you and tapping on her watch or something, and you just don't have time to give them your honest opinion, which is either solicited or unsolicited. But that's kind of funny to me. I'm thinking through some previous situations in my own life. So 1 through 4, they're all pretty much the same percentage. I was really surprised. Why I was surprised? I wasn't surprised because I thought it was not very inclusive. I actually thought the HVAC trade was pretty inclusive based on my experience. Now, I know what people say, and I know what people will say online, but I'm just talking about in my experience. When I think about all different, and I haven't been exposed to all the different variables in this particular group here, like we're talking about race, gender, religion. We're talking about race. I can't say that I've worked with every single race in the world. No one has, I'm sure. But as far as the predominant races that are in my particular area, I never saw anyone discriminated against. Like, everybody looks at the South I shouldn't say everybody. That's too much of a blanket statement. The South has an unwarranted reputation of being this bastion of racism. And just call me a white guy, but I don't see it. I don't see it around. I really don't notice that. But then again, you know what I'm saying? It's really kind of a sensitive issue. I'm not going to say privilege. I'm not going to say that. I think some of the words they come up with now are pretty dumb. And they just put labels on stuff, and all of a sudden you're in a group, and you have no way of becoming an individual again. So I think any words that start to categorize people against their will become like, what's that? Like the government's trying to control you. This is going down a rabbit hole. I'm going to try to veer a little bit. So I've worked with, if we're white folks, then we could probably say black folks, and that's probably okay. I know half the people in the audience is probably, I don't know. But, if everyone calls us white, so I don't see any problem with calling black folks black. I don't think black folks have a problem with it. None of the black folks I ever met had a problem with it. But I know there's all sorts of different ways you have to tiptoe around this. And you guys might be like, why are we talking about this? Well, this is stuff that comes up in every job dynamic. It's not just HVAC. It's everywhere on the planet. You don't want to be so anal about everything you say and come down on people because they didn't use the correct description for the time period. It's annoying. Within reason. There are certain names you don't call people because they're derogatory. But I never had a problem with, keeping it real as far as we're white, they're black. There's, I don't know. That's pretty much all the races around here. There's Latino people in the area. There's a lot of them in the area. I never had a problem with anybody in that area. I came up in construction, and construction is a variety of races. And for some reason, I noticed that certain trades had more of the same race in them. And this is just from what I saw. I saw that a lot of your electricians, like your 3 skilled trades that are so famously called skilled trades, plumbing, electricity, electricians, and HVAC, I noticed that a lot of those guys were white guys when I came up. Even saying this, many of you are like, you even supposed to say this? This is just what I saw. Okay, this is not a judgment on any race. So people get so timid now because if you talk about this stuff, their buttholes start to pucker. And you don't want a puckering butthole. I also noticed that a lot of the brick masons around here were black guys. Is that racism? I don't think it is. I'm just saying what I saw. I'm not saying it's good or bad. We were friends with these people. And then there's half the people are going, did he just say these people? Just think about how dumb it is that we have to analyze every word like that. We got along with each other. We were friends together. People are so anally trying to micromanage every word that's chosen. It just loses the point of life. Now, I hope I haven't offended anybody here. And I think that if there's any offense out there, if you think about it, it's only because we've been conditioned to use a language that's being adapted over and over again. It's being softened. George Carlin, I have no agreement with him probably politically. But when he talked about soft language and euphemisms, it's right on the button. It's just a very intelligent comedic display. If you could tolerate hearing the F word about 1,000 times, it's really, I think, a brilliant presentation. Because he goes through basically, we have soldiers that have post-traumatic stress disorder, and he goes back to the history of that word. And it started as shell shock, very to the point. He said it's almost like the actual explosions themselves. It's very much like shell shock. Brief, explosive, and then it gets softened and softened over time. He said they add a hyphen. It becomes completely sterile. And I don't think we want to be that way. I don't think that's how God wants us to be. That's right. I also believe in God. So 10 more people just got offended. I'm sorry. I believe in God. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Savior. Please continue listening. Okay? If you turn off the podcast because of that, what does that say about you? It's not that you're tolerant, and plus it doesn't invalidate anything that I'm saying. It's just my personal belief. I like talking about this stuff. I like talking about it because I think if you're calm and you think things through, you can see that we're making more trouble for ourselves than needs to be there. I think that if we just relax, take a moment and breathe, that we'd all be a lot better off and we'd all get along with each other a whole lot better. And of course, if you do find a time to maybe read your Bible, it might not help. Okay, I'm just saying, it might help. It might help. Let's take a break. If you run a home service business like painting, contracting, lawn care, or cleaning, your to-do list is endless. From hiring staff to mountains of paperwork, not to mention doing the actual work that pays the bills. Jobber is a mobile and online app that helps you organize your business and look professional. With Jobber, you can quote jobs, schedule your crew, invoice, and get paid all in one place. Try it free today at getjobber.com/shop talk. We're going to start a new segment called the TrueTech Tools Tool Spotlight. TrueTech Tools Spotlight. Let's do it. I like this idea because I like TrueTech tools, and it's a good way to stay up to date on all the different cool stuff that's out there that you could buy with your money using our coupon code. So the real motive has been exposed. I want you to use the coupon code, but hey, you know what? Let's learn about some great tools. And the very first one I want to do, because I also want to maximize this segment, I'm going to involve TrueTech Tools and Yellow Jacket. So you guys can sort of decipher what's going on here, but it'll be worthwhile too. So there's a brand new tool that Yellow Jacket has put out. It's called the Yellow Jacket 40881. That's the number 40881, or you could say 40881. Titan Max Digital Manifold. I saw this thing recently. It is their newest digital manifold. Thus, it's called Titan Max. It's the maximum Titan possible. Titan's like the manifold itself, like the little knobs and little things you put your gauges on. That's the manifold. That sounded really bad. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It's the actual body. And it has this, basically a supercomputer on top of it, is what it looks like to me. There's a lot of information on there. I see analog gauges. I see digital readouts. I see temperatures. I see superheat and subcooling. And the thing looks like the Digicool on steroids or something. Those of you who are familiar with Digicool, it kind of reminds me of that. So this thing is at TrueTech Tools. It will be. Right now it says they have it up on the site, but there's none in stock. I guess it's brand new. But once you do have it in stock, you can go buy it with the Shop Talk discount code. And that'll save you, looks like, about $60-$70. So it's worthwhile using the Shop Talk discount code. Now, what it says about this thing is measures high and low side pressures. Well, big whoop-de-doo. Saturation temperatures, la-ti-da. Onboard data logging. Oh, now you got me. Export to your computer with a USB. Now it's a NASA supercomputer. High resolution, full color backlit 5-inch touchscreen. So this thing is basically like Elon Musk must have made this. He didn't make it, so whoever's about to sue can stop. But it has Bluetooth. Guys, it's a really cool machine. It's a 40881 Titan Max 4-valve digital manifold. It is there, but it won't be in stock until April. But you can pre-order if you want to. You can go ahead and pre-order and have yours when it comes in. Get it from TrueTech. They're the best place to buy any of this stuff. And I hope you enjoyed this. And next week, we'll talk about something else. Stay tuned. So I had a comment on my Bosch IDS2 versus single stage heat pump best heating performance video. And it says, do you think that they will ever be able to do 42,000 BTUs at negative 15 or negative 20 Fahrenheit? Okay. I read years ago. In fact, the book is 30 plus years old. That it's all about design. Now, I don't design heat pumps. I know that heat pumps nowadays can heat better at lower temperatures. A lot of that is due to the variable speed compressor. This is my understanding here. And just remember, I'm an idiot. Please keep listening, though. If you have a variable speed compressor, it has a certain RPM that it runs at. It can actually go in excess of the cooling RPM, go to a higher RPM for heating, and it'll perform better with a lower temperature. That being said, there's still limitations because you have to build a machine that'll work across a dynamic range. So even though it may be -10 outside, that might be the lowest temperature you're going to see all year. And the average temperature might be 10 or 15 degrees overnight. So you have to design a machine that works well at a dynamic range. My belief is, based on reading, that you can design a machine that'll do a very good job at the lowest temperatures, but then will fail to do an adequate job at higher temperatures. Because you can design something that works in certain conditions. Just think about it. You have blast freezers, and it's a refrigeration system. Then you have comfort air conditioning. They're both refrigeration systems. It's just the design is different. That's the foundation for my belief that you could probably do it. Have they done it? I don't know. I would assume there are heat pumps out there that have been designed that work at extremely cold temperatures. I don't know what they are. I bet Google would tell us pretty quickly, but I believe that you could have a machine that would do that. If it is a general purpose home heating machine, I don't know if you're going to have one that does that for a very long time, but I'm sure something will come along technology-wise that will satisfy your requirement there. Before I get out of here for today, everybody, I want to announce Toyota HVAC Sympositron 2024. This will be an event filled with the finest speakers, including my 8th grade gym coach and Mrs. Joe, my neighbor with the cats. They'll be talking about a variety of subjects that may involve HVAC, but I can't guarantee it. At noon that day, we're going to be having fried chicken fajitas and gizzards. On the grill, we're going to have a pig. There'll be a pig on the grill. You're not required to bring anything but $5 admission fee, or you can bring your own bucket of chicken, and that will serve as your admission fee. Festivities start at 8 a.m., and the drinking starts at 9 a.m. So by the time the speakers go on, no matter what they talk about, you're going to be fired up about listening. Like last year, we're not going to condone anyone that decides to turn over their work truck at 9 p.m. that evening. If you vomit, you'll be expected to clean it up. And if you start a fire, I'm going to lose my mind. So, looking forward to Toyota-tron HVAC Supposable. I don't know what it's going to be called, really. I keep making up different names. But I look forward to seeing you guys there, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. God bless all of you. I'll see you next time.